Blake Lively is completely and totally done in Hollywood, at least according to a Disney executive. Today we'll tell you why it might be hurting Ryan Reynolds, and it's time for a legal off-ramp. Get ready, because Ron Coleman is here. Legal expertise like you won't hear anywhere else. It's another beautiful day, folks, and thank you for joining us right here on the Pro Channel, where we continue to give you the news and analysis you need to know. Often before the drive-bys, you get a whiff, a sniff of what we're about to say. As we dive in, click the like button, and we're on our way, unlike Blake Lively. Hello, howdy, and how are you, folks? Guess what? Blake Lively is not doing well. The Daily Mail has this one. Taylor Swift's cookie recipe makes its way into Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal battle. Folks, I'm not going to read this article. I just need you to see the level of silliness in the headlines and the kind of drama/drama for our Canadians that's happening right now to Blake Lively and Mr. Reynolds. Out of Yahoo Entertainment from the TMZ staff, Blake Lively does not want the jury to know she and Ryan Reynolds are super wealthy. What's this all about? Well, she and Ryan are getting ready to take on poor little Justin Baldoni. Things are not going well. She's lost in every possible way, minus 3 very narrow claims that she's making that can go forward, that are allowed to proceed by the judge. And as they get ready to go in front of a jury that will not be weighing in on whether or not she was harassed in the ways she alleged, Blake Lively still does not want that jury to know she's pretty darn rich. And it's getting richer by the minute in terms of just how badly this is going for them. How bad is it going for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? We'll take a look at this out of page 6 by Vanessa Cerna. Why Blake Lively is ruined in Hollywood. However, it's who is saying she's ruined that matters so. Let's start the first sentence. You ready? A Disney executive. A Disney executive. Disney that has Deadpool and has every reason to want Ryan Reynolds to be clean, clear, and ready to go. A Disney executive reportedly alleged that Blake Lively's career is ruined following her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. Quote, this lawsuit has ruined her in Hollywood, the insider, who allegedly worked with the Gossip Girl star, told the Daily Mail in an article published Saturday. The truth is, she was never that popular. She had a reputation for being difficult, one of those toxic people who always thinks she knows best. Goes on to say, the exec said Lively, 38, has made her bed and she can lie in it. Hope there aren't any grumpies in there. Claiming that people in Hollywood aren't shedding tears over her. Reps for the actress and Disney were not available for page 6 to comment. Lively sued Baldoni for harassment and retaliation in December 2024, citing several alleged incidents from their time on the set of It Ends With Us. We have now found out through those emails, we can't say they're leaked because they were released by her own actions via the court. We found out through these emails that Justin Baldoni and his cohort, they were actually keeping memorandas memorializing that they were under attack, being threatened by this woman with these kinds of things. And then she went forward with it, not knowing that they were keeping notices behind the scenes privately with timestamps and everything. Ron, everything. Ron, this is pretty much over for Blake Lively, but she is not letting up. What is the strategy here, Ron? Why is somebody in her legal counsel not saying, you know what, we don't need the paycheck this badly, just let it go?
Okay, so you can skip the first part. I mean, no one says that.
Put them on retainer, Ron.
I actually doubt that the lawyers are the ones pushing this. She is a demanding person.
She's a hard woman. She's a hard woman. Is that fair?
Let's put it this way. Between now and the trial, there are many, many exit ramps, and they will be explored. But immediately after the negative decision comes out, somebody who is so public facing and who uses litigation the way Blake Lively uses it is not going to say, oh, well, that was a pretty bad decision. I guess we're cooked. We're still proceeding. They still have a little bit of leverage. It is still not going to be necessary for the corporate defendants to go to trial. But my guess is the chances are better than 50-50 that it will not go to trial.
And what is the possible off-ramp she finds? Because she's already losing all her friends. The reason we started with this frivolous headline about Taylor Swift is because everybody in Hollywood is getting sucked into this and none of them like it. None of them like finding out, oh, my stupid cookie recipe is in, the laundry list of emails that are being sucked into this thing.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What's the off-ramp, Ron? So she has come out with her attorneys and said, This is for the children. That's where we are now in this stage, right? It's not about her anymore.
The off-ramp is that there's a settlement. She basically drops her claims. They drop any attempt to get attorney's fees at her, and the settlement terms remain confidential, and she slings home.
If you're baldoni, do you want to do that, or do you want to stick it to her and say, no, actually, you made this bed.
You made this bed, but you don't go after the lady.
But
no,
it's
you gotta let it go.
It's not baldoni on the remaining 3 claims, though. Does that hold true for the executives as well?
That is still true.
Okay.
You're right, Lauren. I mean, for Baldoni, from the point of view of his celebrity management, for sure not. Will the companies go after her? For what? For what? To get money out of her?
I was thinking more to set an example that it's like, look, they hate bad publicity. Just see the Me Too movement and everything that happened after that. And so I was wondering if they may want to set the precedent that if you're going to file a lawsuit like this, make sure you've got the goods.
Yeah, I'd really be surprised. They've already won. They've already won. This is a win. She has spent money that she's not getting back. She has been humiliated. This is humiliating for her. It doesn't say much, by the way, for her lawyers. That's a lot of claims to get dismissed.
Well, it was 10 out of 13, correct?
That's a lot. And to get the name brand people dismissed, that's a big loss.
Before I go to Wiz and Andy, though, Ron, there's something that's really embarrassing legally to them, and that is
don't go to Wiz on Andy.
we always take time for a good whiz, and we've got
my legal expertise.
Ron, the embarrassing part for them is the reason that some of these were thrown out has to do with where they were filed, and essentially a California judge said these don't pertain to California. This didn't happen here. This isn't under our purview. This is in New Jersey, and the laws don't apply.
Well, this is a New York judge. A New York judge said, "Oh, you want to apply California law?" Because she lives in New York. So
this is even worse than I knew. Then I thought it was a California judge. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a New York judge. Okay, I can see the courthouse out my window. I mean, if I had X-ray vision, I could see through because it's on the east side. But
you're better than TMZ. We'll get you that long angle lens so you can get the photos when she goes in.
The huge lens. New York judge. So because Blake Lively lives in New York, she wanted to sue in New York, and she wanted to sue under California law. And what the New York judge said was, "This all went down in Ron Coleman's neighborhood. This is a New Jersey case. You don't get in California just because you're Hollywood doesn't mean that you get to apply California law just wherever you go." So now there's a case that is set to go to trial in New York over stuff that happened in New Jersey, and to which New Jersey law is going to apply. And no one has made a motion to transfer it to New Jersey, and there's no real reason it has to, except that, the existence of the federal claims is pretty. I mean, there is diversity. There's diversity jurisdiction, but a lot of bad decisions were made here, and part of the big gamble was the idea that a New York judge would apply California law here. That might have actually been easier to pull off in New Jersey than in New York, because the New York judges are bolder. I think it's fair to say, but it just doesn't scan well to sue someone in New Jersey.
And Ron, the reason, if you could explain this to the audience, because a lot of people don't know this, but the reason for her trying this game of Twister legally was she wanted to use that California law because it's unlike any other law in the nation following the Me Too movement and legislation that happened there. Could you explain that for us?
I can't explain it very well. I'm not a California lawyer, but yes, during the Me Too madness, the California legislature did what it does best, which is run to demonstrate its fealty to the moment. So they made it even more illegal to be Harvey Weinstein and to do Harvey Weinstein things than it had already been. And that, I mean, California has a way of doing that, right? They just like they make it more legal to pollute than it already is, and more legal to use, plastics in your, in stuff that you buy than it already is. So, California is the more than state, right? So they made it more illegal to promote a hostile work environment or to seek quid pro quos in the tech department than it had already been. And it didn't work because there's just no there in terms of California.
That's right. There's no there in terms of what's going to happen for Blake Lively either, Wiz. And as we look at this out of Yahoo Entertainment, Blake and Ryan are worth an estimated $380 million. And they don't want the jury to know that. They don't want the jury to know a lot of this stuff. I mean, this is the best of the things they don't want them to know. Wiz, why can't she let this go? And when does this start to sling mud onto her husband?
I mean, it already has. That's the problem here. It already has. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, we want to plead poverty, or, we were not actually worth all that much money, except, the connections with Mint Mobile, and he had a liquor company at one point in time. And, Ryan Reynolds is well known for being a business guy aside from acting, and being a successful one at that, like well known for generating lots and lots of money with business. So I don't see how this is going to play out well for them at all, just in the public eye. But the damage is done here, as far as like how the just the general public thinks about this. And to Ron's point, and it was something that Lauren had brought up before, like, wouldn't they want to like really drive this home? Wouldn't companies want to try and make an example of this? I'm pretty sure the studios just want this to go away, because this hurt all the studios too. Because now the studios can't work with these people, and these people used to put butts in seats. So now Disney, even though it's Disney kind of reporting this, they now have to think, well, oh my gosh, even we can't do a Marvel right now. We can't do Daredevil. We have to be careful with how we involve Deadpool, not Daredevil. We have to be very careful about how we use Ryan Reynolds' character. Is anything about Hugh Jackman going to come out about this? We got Wolverine on the brain trying to use these characters, and all this is super important. But so I think the studios want this to go away as quickly as possible. Blake Lively is going to want this to continue with, well, firstly, because it seems like she's the kind of person that can't handle what's going on here.
Victory at all costs, man. Raise it to the ground.
Right.
That's Blake Lively.
It appears it's all scorched earth at this point. Got to see it all the way to the end. But
right, that's what again, Wizard. That's what you say. That's what you say when the decision comes out. Because, she's not going to be pushed around. I am woman. Right. Believe all victims, all that.
She's doing it for the children, Ron. For the little girls of the world.
Aren't we all?
Oh,
but
amen.
After things settle down, her lawyers, I mean, if there's, I'm sure her lawyers who have not acquitted themselves well. You do have to listen to what the client wants you to do. To a point. And this is a lot to lose. This is and listen, a loss like this is embarrassing, but I've lost cases. I've lost cases loud, and I didn't make as much money as these guys did losing their case. So all things being equal, I'm not second guessing them. A good month for them.
I guess the situation.
A bad month for them is probably a good year for me.
As a fake wizard who's not a lawyer, I'm just a general public person, seeing this, knowing how much money they're actually worth, knowing how much money these people have, and seeing the loss at this level, these two have the best lawyers money can possibly buy. So it's not a matter of the lawyers being bad at all, at least to the general public. We look at this like, oh my gosh, how bad was this case for her?
No, I'm sure that they have the benefit of very well-heeled and well-experienced lawyers, but you do have to say, there's a point where you have to say no to the client. And look, one thing I do say all the time, and I wish people, look, I have my own cases where I'm second guessed on social media because I'm a social media person. If you don't have the whole file, first of all, if you're not a lawyer, chances are, with all due respect, you don't really know how to evaluate these things. But even if you are a lawyer, if you don't have the file, if you don't really know what's at stake for each side and what facts there are that people aren't hearing and what considerations there. So I'm not going to condemn her lawyers at all. I might have sounded like I did, but I really didn't need to.
Well, you might have to work with them one day.
Well, I think the issue here is that the general public might view this as a monetary thing. But I suspect the way that Blake is evaluating this is all about ego. And so that's worth more to her than money. And that's what's leading, I would guess, her to continue to push on this.
Yeah, I want to go to Andy real quick. Andy, what's amazing is that Disney seems to be turning against them. Now, I don't know if this is, a single executive or if this was leaked on purpose or what. But, for the Walt Disney Company, they've already lost Pirates of the Caribbean. They've already lost that with the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard situation. Now they're looking at the possibility of Deadpool being damaged, Wolverine being damaged, as they're getting ready to launch the X-Men. They're not a friend to this strategy. They have got to be saying to themselves, how many IPs are we going to lose to this insanity?
That's what I was thinking. The number of times they've been wrong on this wrong side of history thing. Lately, they pick the wrong sides and they just come out looking really badly about who they're connected with. Right now, I think Blake Lively she's just happy that Ruby Rose said something today to make somebody look a little bit better than or a little worse off than her.
Take that, Katy Perry. I kissed a girl and I liked it. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah,
Nice.
She's really. It makes you wonder, like, what the mindset is. I think, like Lauren said, it's ego with her. It's not that they need the money. It's not that she couldn't, she wanted control of an IP. She wanted to give this guy, the figurative, metaphorical kick in the nuts and take over his thing and say, I'm woman, hear me roar and all this. And she's not getting the support and this blind allegiance that she thought she would. I think she's like a petulant child that just wants her own way. Her husband's filthy rich and, he's the one who's brought the money to the table. And I really can't tell you anything that she's done. I know she was in a Gossip Girl show or whatever, but how much does that pay? So she's doing this as a control thing, and now she's more concerned, I think, about her image and how it's going to make her look. And now she feels like she can't backpedal. She's got to try and frame this in there. How can I become the victim in all this anyway? And that it wasn't really me, that these terrible things happened, which I'm not even sure what the allegations were, that it was so terrible for her. This is just another example of why people do not like actors anymore. Why there's no more movie stars, because they see how they really are in real life, and they're like, I don't want to live next door to this person. I don't want to be at a party with this person. We used to have people that would flock to our conventions and line up to meet these people, and we see the dwindling lines except for a select few, and usually they're the ones that don't open their mouth.
Well said. And I think you're exactly right, Andy. We've been paying attention to this at conventions. People aren't interested in woke celebrities anymore. We saw the lines for Alec Baldwin versus just about anybody else. And we're seeing this happen. Wiz, go ahead.
They're also charging a fortune too. So it's like they step out of line saying terrible things to polarize audiences, and then they charge a fortune at these conventions. It's insane.
$500 to hug a narcissist. All right, Ron, I'm going to give you the final word on it. What would you be advising right now to Blake Lively if you, assuming that we know what you would know already, that everything is out there, how would you be advising her to get to the exit?
We're going to ease our way out of this case, honey. It can only get worse from here. We did a great job getting rid of Baldoni's counterclaim. That was a win for us. It's true that we lost this last one, but it's really more personal than it is institutional. You don't need to burn any more bridges with these institutions. You're not going to get baldoni personally. And by the way, I had an opportunity while you fellows were chatting to look into who her lawyers are.
Who she got, Ron?
This is freaking unbelievable. She has 4 law firms.
Well, that doesn't cost any money.
Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher, that's Wendell Wilkie's law firm from the back in the day. One of the large New York firms, a litigation powerhouse, all around great corporate law firm. Manat Phelps, which is basically bringing up the entertainment law, LA representation, even though I'm sure it's their New York office. Haynes and Boone, someone's got a relationship there, obviously. And a firm that I must admit I'm not familiar with, Dunn Isaacson Rhee, R-H-E-E. 4 firms deep, okay? That actually could explain how things went wrong. First of all, you've got decision-making by committee going on. And also these are, I don't know all 4 of them, but certainly Wilkie Farr and Manat Phelps. And Haynes and Boone is a very respectable firm too, of course. These are really profitable firms, guys who are used to, guys and women who are used to, not getting a lot of pushback. And if they all were on the same page, or if they all didn't want to be the ones to back down, it's possible that they kind of convinced themselves that this was a way to go. But that's when 4 firms, including some that are that big and powerful and well regarded, fall off the Empire State Building the way they did on this summary judgment motion, that's going to leave a mark.
So
you get her out of the case. You get her out of the case, and you tell her, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. She has very little upside to gain here.
Ron, any chance they would say to her, you either are going to cut bait or find somebody else, find a different firm?
No.
Money, money, money.
First, A, is the money, but B, that's actually a form of humiliating your client. And you don't do that. You don't do that.
All right.
Now,
Well,
if she were to fire them, that would be something else. But who's going to pick up this case 5 weeks before trial? Besides me.
well, her legal team might not be willing to humiliate her, but Disney and their leaks, maybe. Folks, we'll follow it. She's got 5 weeks to find a way out of this giant mess. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew, and that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.